Good morning, I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations, small businesses, and nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they are here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some new friends today. Growing up in the 90s, eating disorders were the topic on everybody's lips. The most well-known eating disorders are pretty much anorexia, bulimia, and perhaps binge eating. Remember when binging was a bad word and it meant too much? No matter what Netflix tells you, it's still a bad word. The results of having an eating disorder can lead to diabetes, gastrointestinal problems, and even exacerbate mental health problems such as depression and anxiety. It's the chicken and the egg there. I eat because I'm depressed, and I'm depressed because I eat. How do I get out of this vicious cycle, and who can help? Vita Tucson provides crucial therapeutic processing eating disorder support groups to adolescents and their families battling eating disorders and who need eating disorder help free of charge. These groups offer a vital community of understanding and solidarity, essential for adolescents and their families on their journey to recovery. Money raised helps offset costs associated with travel to inpatient hospitals, hotel stays, and food, lightening the financial burden on families during these challenging times. Today, I'm fortunate enough to speak with Erinn Mendibles, founder and president of Vita Tucson. Erinn, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
Thank you so much, Frank.
I'm so glad to talk to you. I'm glad you reached out because you're reaching out every which way, whether it was Instagram, Facebook messages. We finally got in contact, and I'm so glad that we made it in time because we're going to talk about some fun events and some things that you're doing. But you are the founder of this amazing organization. And one of the things you told me is that there are no organizations that are really fighting for all the people that need help with this problem that they're afflicted with eating disorders.
Right.
So tell me how and why you got started and how all this began. Tell me everything about Vita Tucson.
Yeah, so Vita Tucson was born out of a need here in Tucson. I've been called a mom, which stands for Mom on a Mission. My daughter was diagnosed about 1.5 years ago with an eating disorder when she was 14. And we, at the time, thought we could find something here in Tucson to help her manage the eating disorder and to help educate us. And there was nothing. There was one organization called Desert Milagros, and they have since closed. December 1st, they closed. So now there really is nothing. After having to send Isabella out of state, we flew her to Denver, and she was on a feeding tube and inpatient for almost 3 months in Denver at the Eating Recovery Center. We then flew to La Jolla at the UCSD program, University of California, San Diego. And fortunately, we were able to live there for 2 months and allow her to go to the PHP, which is partial hospitalization program, and IOP, which is intensive outpatient program. We got some of the best care we could have gotten for her by sending her there because we, as the parents, got educated also. And I think that's something that it's different with eating disorders. When your child has cancer or, type 1 diabetes, you have to learn how to take care of your child, but it's not necessarily the same as an eating disorder. If you don't make real changes in your day-to-day, speaking with your kid, learning how to talk, and, day in, day out, just reactions with them, it can be devastating. And eating disorders is the number one mental health disorder that has suicide attached to it. So it's the deadliest mental health disorder. And that is scary, that there is nothing in Tucson for anyone under the age of 18 who is grappling with an eating disorder.
Well, I'll already thank you for stepping up and filling the gap because that's always what people need to do in life. If you see a gap, you got to try to fill it. And this is a great need. This is also surprising news to me because Tucson has more 501c3s per capita than anywhere else in the entire nation. And the fact that this is such a rampant thing. I'm so anti-suicide. It's a big part of my life and my mission for helping kids and helping out people in general. The Surgeon General even just said how depression and loneliness specifically, is an epidemic right now facing the nation. And I know it because I talk to a lot of kids and a lot of kids of all ages talking about how they feel, what they feel, and why they feel that way. I was worried when I was going to ask you, what was the impetus for you to start? How old is this organization?
So we started in June.
Wow. So brand new baby organization. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. How's your daughter?
So, the thing I like to tell people is she's better than she was, but she's not better.
Right. Okay.
And eating disorders, that's very typical. It's something that some people live with for the rest of their lives. And it's that coping mechanism that has to really kick in their heads to realize that the voice that's in their head, the ED voice in their head, can be turned off, but you have to learn how to do it. And that's really difficult. The loud voice in your head is, with an eating disorder, very loud. In our household, we've named that voice Ed. Isabella, can we please put Ed up on the shelf today? Just small conversations with her. Bella Vita, is Beautiful Life, but my daughter's name is Bella. So we really wanted to make sure that she was on board with all of this. So when we moved back to Tucson in May, it was Mother's Day weekend. That was our first weekend back in Tucson. And I asked her, what is the one thing that you miss the most about being in San Diego? Because once you're outside of that bubble of safety, it's really difficult to realize, oh my gosh, now I have to apply all of the things that we were taught. And she said, the number one thing I miss is the processing groups, the peer processing groups. So that's what we first started as, was just processing groups. And I don't mean to minimize it. It's huge. It's not just processing groups, but we got parents together and we got the adolescents together and we separated them. So we have parents in one room. We have the adolescents in another room. We have a behavioral health, a BHT in the room with the adolescents to make sure that they're not talking self-harm and they're also not giving each other tips and tricks on how to weigh more at weigh-ins. And, we do a mindfulness activity at the very beginning, and that usually cultivates a conversation for them to then process about. But if it doesn't, the BHT is there to help, manifest a little more conversation. And then the parents on the other side, we are in there just talking about, oh my gosh, who's your pediatrician? Is your child on medication now? Has it worked? Where do you go for a dietitian? Where do you go for what's the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist? And that's where it started. And now we've kind of grown into a little bit more of being able to help families with costs associated with eating disorders. And all of this is just, coming from what we went through. There was no help for us. We had to pay for everything out of pocket. And we know how hard it is and how expensive it is. So there are very few practitioners in Tucson that specialize in eating disorders. We have 2 dietitians that we refer out to, and we will pay for those appointments for families. And then we have 3 or 4 therapists that we refer people out to, and we will pay for those appointments for them because insurance does not cover these appointments. And if they do, the practitioners don't accept insurance because they're getting paid so little from the insurance companies.
Ugh, what a bunch of red tape. What a knot,
yes.
Right? That's so much. Well, you're helping untie it. That's really a big deal. And the most important thing that you said that I heard was right in the beginning about how you said your daughter is what was it? She's better, but she's not.
She's better than she was, but she's not better.
She's better than she was, but she's not better, but she's here. And that's what counts.
Right.
And that's super important because I'm glad because the work you've done is what's kept her here. And not a lot of families have the opportunity to do what you were able to do, to uplift, uproot, move somewhere temporarily for a while. You can imagine how many people are just kind of getting washed away in this problem, stuck out here because there's nowhere to go.
Right. And if a family has insurance, they're very thankful, but the out-of-pocket max is usually what they have to pay, and that's $5,000 or $10,000. And if the family is on access, there are no inpatient facilities in Arizona that accept access. So now what?
Yeah. Now what is right? Well, now what is, I'll just jump right to something I say toward the end, is donate. You should donate some money to this great organization because that is how you help pay the bills to send these folks to a hotel stay, perhaps a hospital visit, perhaps just the transportation to get places. And you provide them also with were there drinks that you provide, nutritious beverages as well? Yeah.
So my daughter drinks a high caloric drink every morning. We go through those one a day. So 12 of those costs $55. The weekly appointment, we either see a dietitian or a therapist, and it's every other week. But those appointments range from $150 to $250. And then, just gas on its own is expensive. We've paid for people's gas to get to and from Dallas for an inpatient facility. Wow. And the parents go every weekend to visit their child. I flew every weekend to Denver. So that, was expensive. And then we also, for another family, paid for their tires because their tires, went bald from having to drive so much. So, we have families that come from Sarita. We have families that come from Vail, from Oro Valley, from Marana. We're really trying to have a broad reach for people in our community and what we can offer.
If this is resonating with anyone right now, you have a bi-weekly therapy processing group to help combat the isolating impact of eating disorders. How can people find some information about this?
Yeah, so you can visit our website. It's B as in Bella, V as in Vita, so bvtucson.org. And on there, you'll see on the homepage, you'll see, our next processing group. You'll see on the second page, it's called What We Do. Those are all costs that are associated that we pay for. So it's not anything that we provide for people, but we will pay for those practitioner appointments. And then the third page is some of the press that we've had about Bella Vita Tucson and just a little bit of history. You can also find us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And we're very active education-wise on Instagram and Facebook. And that's Bella Vita Tucson on all of those platforms.
And I'll tell you about some of those in the recap, as well as give you some phone numbers. Now, these meetings, it says that do you guys have like an office? It says these are at the L offices.
Yeah, so the L offices have been super supportive for us. Crystal Popoff is the owner, and that's who I was working for at the time. I was marketing for them, and she was the one that finally said, Erinn, you have to step away from work to be able to fully be able to be there for yourself, but also be there for my daughter. And so I was traveling on Friday. I would leave Tucson. I would fly to Denver. I would stay for the visit that I got for an hour and a half in the morning and an hour and a half at night on Saturday. And I would do the same thing on Sunday. So a total of 6 hours is what I was able to see her, over 48 hours. And then I would fly home on Monday. And then I would work in the office, I would work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then I would do it all over again. And I did that for almost 3 months.
Wow.
It was intense.
Never doubt how much a parent loves their child. And any kids out there listening, do your homework, do your chores. What are you doing? Listen how much your parents care. It's absurd. So that's just the most heartwarming thing. And honestly, finding out your organization is this young and just how vigilant you've been, I'm going to just do whatever I can to tell every single person about your organization, because I meet a lot of nonprofits.
Yeah.
And there are some nonprofits in town like Angel Charity for Children or the Centurions. They're the nonprofits that throw these big events that then raise money for our smaller nonprofits in town. And we got to get the word out about your great group is helping a lot of people. I remember growing up, and I was a fat kid growing up in the 90s and then the 80s, when then every television show picks on you for it, and you're told you're going to be the biggest nerd and you'll never get a girl. And boy, did it make me have a real problem. And I lost a girl at a point, and I ate nothing but turkey sandwiches and just didn't eat anything else. I couldn't. Food didn't taste good. I wouldn't even put mayonnaise on it because I was just convinced that no matter what you told me, it's because I have a belly.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't get that girl. And it screwed me up really bad. And I've always had the weight problem. Even as a guy, a lot of people don't realize that guys have this problem too. I would fluctuate. The highest weight I ever got to was 249. I said, I will not see 250. And then I got down when I was my lowest and most depressed. So depressed, one time I had a blanket at my feet and I couldn't pull it up, even though I was cold, because I didn't think I deserved it or something. Yeah. It was a really dark time because I had moved away from Tucson too. And I just remember those feelings. I got down to 173. Wow. And that is like, for a 6'2" guy, still had my belly because I didn't really do much exercise, but my neck and my upper body was all gaunt and I didn't look good. So there I was now, I'm losing weight, I don't look good. Yeah. Like, it really can get you all twisted up, and a lot of those feelings are not around anymore. And I'm still the same waistline, but it's because I kind of did grow out of it and accept who I am and accept what I look like. I never got
kudos, because that's not very common.
You have to be your own best friend. You have to believe in yourself, and you got to realize that, like, the world is full of shapes. Yeah. And you got to not be so hung up on your shape, because there are so many people out there. Just look around, and it's not about being a fitness model. It's about being a healthy person, because that's the other thing. We're not just talking about weight loss, are we? We're talking about being healthy and eating to be healthy. And that's the difference too. A lot of people just think like, oh, someone has anorexia, we just got to get them to eat.
Right.
Someone has bulimia, we just got to get them to not, throw it out. No, it's about eating nutritiously. people.
Yeah. And I think, the newest trend and the newest diagnosis is called orthorexia. And it's, on TikTok, they're called almond moms. You have a 4 or 5-year-old and you're only giving them broccolini and almonds and a dab of yogurt. Like, we can't set people up to have villainized food. That food isn't the villain. We have to deal with the mental health part of eating disorders, and that is where it starts. It's a mental health disorder, and it is the deadliest mental health disorder.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people think about it as much as they should as a real mental health disorder, the way other ones that aren't as life-threatening.
Yeah, you talked about isolating and being lonely, and people with eating disorders are very isolated because it's so stigmatized to have a mental health disorder. And so imagine that feeling as a parent and not wanting your friends to know, not wanting your pastor at church to know, because ultimately you feel like you've done this somehow. And, back in the 40s and 50s, I was reading stories of moms were blamed. They were the reason their child had an eating disorder. And it just is fascinating how much parents have to take on, but more how much moms are really blamed for things. And so, my daughter Isabella talks about COVID, but she also talks about how her uncle had died, when she was 13 and going into 14, and it really affected her. She was very close to him. And so, we talk about traumatic events, and that was a traumatic event for her. And so that's what she pinpoints. As she gets older, she may think of other things that have happened, and maybe that's it. But, the lead up to what happens to an eating disorder is what's often not taken serious. So the OCD behaviors, the depression, the anxiety. And so, we're very fortunate to be able to go to Ochoa Elementary and talk about with the staff and the teachers, the staff, and the nurse to let them know this is what you guys need to be looking for, and then reach out to us so we can help further that education for parents and then get them to come in. I have a conversation going with the Marana School District superintendent. He wants us to come in and teach the staff, let them know what we should be looking for so that no child or family feels silent.
I'm friends with Dustin Williams of Pima County, so
Awesome.
I'll get you that school superintendent too.
Very good.
That's
very
how this
good.
works. And I'll tell you, if she's still dealing with that or thinks that the death of a loved one was some of it, there's another great group I interviewed is Tunadito, and they help out a lot.
Yeah.
So it's never too late to talk.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what we're talking about here is, again, this is also a big, very anti-suicide feeling that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it really is because of, I think a big word here is shame.
Yes.
Is the shame of feeling that way. Your body image is shame, right? All these different things. And you're ashamed to talk about it. Even with your best friend where you would be like, I have to tell you, it's a secret, an eating disorder. They're often secrets. Right. And that can be the problem. So let's fix it. Let's fix it now, right now, by doing something in the community, getting out and having some fun, because what are we going to be doing on the 13th? Why, it's PickleBELLA.
PickleBELLA on April 13th. So we are going to be at Corbett's, which is not to be confused with High Corbett, down on 6th and 7th downtown, and free parking. You come out. We want people who maybe have never played pickleball or are really not maybe that good, because it's a fundraiser. It's not a pickleball tournament.
Right.
We want to have some fun. And so the registration for one person is $125, and we want you to have a team. So come with your friend. You guys both register. And if you want to just come out and cheer, it's $60. You get alcohol, you get non-alcohol if you want, and we get food. We were just down there talking right now with Kyle, who is the GM of Corbett's. Great thing they have set up down there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do swag bags, which I brought to show you. Everyone will get a swag bag with some swag in it, as well as a pickleball towel. We're going to have great raffle items. We have 51 raffle items. So I'm so excited. Tucson has really come through for us in giving us some really cool raffle prizes. So we're excited.
That's fantastic. Don't hold back. What's in that goodie bag? Let me see it. What do you got? What are people getting?
Well, we have lots of things. We have pens and, the original swag stuff. But the bag is what is most exciting.
It's a nice clear bag, which, by the way, you need this for when you go to events anyway, like TCC.
So
and
this
stuff.
bag is able to go into all U of A games, concerts, as well as any type of other event. So we were very, coherent of the decision that we made to make sure that people could take this bag with them. And then, of course, it has the cute pickleball logo. Busby, Bell, and Biggs is a law firm here in Tucson, and they provided all of the bags for us.
And thank you to them.
Yes, thank you to them. And our trophies are going to be Stanley Cups. So we'll have first, second, and third place trophies for all the teams.
I love how the Stanley Cup,
the Stanley.
That company realized this pun exists finally.
Right.
And
they
best
really
marketing ever.
Started marketing towards women, and that's when they went nuts. So keep it real, ladies. And then we're going to do a Stanley Cup trophy for best dressed, just in case you're going to dress like a pickle. We want you out there. So
Scott Lehman showing up. Look out.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So we have some great, people coming out. We also have some, Hughes Federal Credit Union really came through for us. Casino del Sol. We have some really good people that are here in Tucson, local organizations really trying to help.
And you don't have to worry at all if you don't have paddles for your pickleballs, because those are going to be provided as well. But I'm going to give you a tip. If you go to Target right now, they're in like the dollar section. They're pickle crazy over there.
Oh, that's great to know.
Yes,
yeah.
They're like $3, $5. There's got a lot of stuff over there at Target. So go check out all your pickleball supplies at the local Target. Yes. Tell me about this other great organization that you've partnered with. It's Team Lizzie Bell. What do they do and what are they all about?
Yeah, so Team Lizzie Bell has been in Tucson for 21 years. They started because Lizzie Bell had black diamond fan anemia. She was born with that. You have to get blood transfusions every 2 weeks. And so at the age of 7 weeks old, she started having to basically live at the hospital.
Wow.
When they were it was UMC at the time, having to get these blood transfusions, Kathy and Mike Bell, who are the parents of Lizzie Bell, saw that there were families in the rooms not eating. So they've realized that people couldn't afford to get lunch in the cafeteria. So they went to the Steel Association or Foundation and said, we would like to pay for people's lunch cards. Can we do that through you guys? And Steel Foundation just wasn't set up to be able to do that. And so Team Lizzie Bell was born, and that's where it started. What it has now grown into over the years, they have brought blood donation to everyone's top of mind. They do bone marrow matches. They really set up events. They do baby showers to allow people to bring toys to a baby shower so that we then can go take those toys to the hospitals. Every single time a toy is given to a child that checks in at TMC or Banner. So we have been doing that, infiltrating those hospitals for many years. There's a toy closet at TMC that is Lizzie's loot, and in there that has been filled continuously. So we go through 8 bins a month for filling of toys. And then the sad part of it, which Kathy Bell has said, she doesn't really get out and talk about too much, is what we do, for infants. So we had an infant that was transferred from TMC to hospice. I never even knew there was hospice for infants.
Me neither.
So we went in and we made that room a little less sterile. Obviously, it's not for the baby, it's for the family, but to just brighten it up a little bit. And then, we helped pay for the family's funeral for that baby. So really hard things that we all, if we think about it, know must happen, but we never have to think about it, thankfully. So for those families, we are here in the community. We get phone calls from social workers. We get phone calls from hospital nurses. Everyone in Tucson knows Kathy Bell and knows that this lady will find a way to make it happen.
That's incredible. Again, let me hold back the tears. Sometimes in lifestyle, Tucson, it gets tough, especially when I'm talking about sick kids. But we're not talking about sick kids. We're talking about helping sick kids. And that's what is important and why you have to have tough conversations. I'm just a wuss. I can't help it. Look at you. You're the strongest woman I think I've had in here in so long. Doing all the things that you do, it's so impressive. If I could grant a wish for your organization, what wish would you have for your organization?
So Team Lizzie Bell is starting a new project called 94 and More. 94 and More, the number 94 is because Lizzie was born in 1994. So it's the same premise as 100 Women Who Give or 100 Men Who Give. 94 or more people, if they give $1,000 a year, we would have $100,000.
Right.
So our wish is that we have more people who want to step up and be part of 94 and More.
Love it. That's fantastic. Is there a separate website for 94 and More, or a separate type of thing, or is it just kind of like a movement, like a hashtag or something?
It's all on our website. So we do
is.
have a separate place on our website that kind of talks
Excellent.
about it, and it's teamlizziebell.org, and it's team LIZZIE bell.org.
That's fantastic. And what about for Bella Vita Tucson?
Yeah.
If you had a wish for that, what would it be?
If I had a wish for Bella Vita Tucson, I would wish for a beautiful farm in Marana. And I would wish that we would have a beautiful inpatient facility there where people under the age of 18 could go and they would stay there for a year. We have to teach them how to retrain their brain. We'll get them outside. They'll go help grow the wheat for Barrio Breaker. They'll have jobs. We'll get them through, maybe they want to go get cosmetology school done or something like that while they're living at the facility. And all of that costs money, and I'm very aware of that. But if I could do that, that's what I would do right now and wish for.
Well, that's what we're going to try to do here. I'm going to hook you up with some of these organizations that might be able to help that happen. Because today we made friends with Erinn Mendibles, founder and president of Bella Vita Tucson, whose goal is to make any eating disorder a distant memory for Arizona families. This was a big one. Thank you for joining me today, Erinn.
Thank you for having us, Frank.
This was Lifestyle Tucson. Bing bong bing, time for a recap. A very important conversation right there, because really to discover that there's no organizations here in Tucson, the most 501c3s per capita in the United States, it's really a big deal and shows you the difference that one person can make. And Erinn's doing that by being that one person here in town. You can get more details over at bvtucson.org. You could follow them on Instagram at Bella Vita Tucson, and Bella Vita Tucson is also on Facebook. Don't miss the big event, April 13th. It's PickleBELLA. It's 11:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at Corbett's, which is a beautiful space if you haven't seen it. The vibrant downtown location, 340 North 6th Avenue, 85705 is that zip. So join them in supporting Team Lizzie Bell and Bella Vita Tucson as they take center court and have some fun, really out there just raising money, raising awareness and everything, playing some pickleball and having a good time doing it. So I just want to thank our new friends at Bella Vita Tucson for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. If you're a nonprofit that would like to be on the show, email lifestyletucson@gmail.com. For more information about this program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Audible, or wherever fine podcasts are a part of this balanced breakfast. Follow on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Lifestyle Tucson, because I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever, Frank Powers, Toot Toot Tucson. I love you the most.